Hold on. Yeah, we got the Twitch Arovich cooking. Or not Twitch. Twitch is... I'm not going to say anything because we're going to make millions of dollars off of Twitch. But Kickski. We got the Kick viewers going live. All right. Mr. Producer. We got all them hoes. Mr. Producer. That's not hyperbole. We actually do. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Naeem! Naeem, where you at? I know Naeem's going to be in the live chat. I got a bone to pick with you, Naeem.
Bomba.
The ultimate Bangladeshi SEO specialist. I don't know if I can call him a specialist anymore. I'm going to have to just call him an SEO. I'm going to call him SEM. The search engine minimization.
The SEO's on PTO.
Oh, yeah, Naeem. He didn't even let me know he was taking a hiatus. He must be going to the mainland, India, to pick up some Huns.
He gets a couple weeks of PTO a year.
Yeah, a couple weeks. No, he doesn't get that much. Naeem gets 1 day of PTO per year.
Otherwise,
yeah, Naeem, what are you taking time off for? You fucking rich, Naeem? You got generational wealth I don't know about? Yeah, I don't know about PTO, bro. All right, Harry. Well, we're back. We're fucking geeked up. The gentlemen aren't sure what's going on in the markets. Well, I suppose that's what we're here for, right? We've had an interesting week so far because after that nuke on Sunday, we've not done anything other than just kind of putts around 2,800 to about 3,000, a little bit under 3,000. And it's interesting to see how the emotions played out for everybody on Sunday to Monday, because on Sunday we had the massive liquidation wick all the way down to $2,100. Everybody freaked out. Not everybody, but most people capitulated at the bottom if they did capitulate. And then what you see happens on those liquidation wicks is on the way back up, those people who capitulated at $2,100, they see that pump that we got on Monday. They think, oh shit, we're back. I'm going to ape back in, FOMO back in, the bottom's in, I got to get back in. They FOMO back in at the top. Who's selling them bags there at the top? Market makers. So market makers buy up at 2,100. They let people FOMO back in on that fake pump on Monday. Liquidation bounce. Naeem's here. Naeem. Did you not check the WhatsApp messages I sent you, Naeem? Do you notice something about the thumbnail? It seems a bit off. Let's see if he figures it out. We get that bounce, and people FOMO back in, and market makers jeet to them at the top of that liquidation bounce on that FOMO, and then we start to roll back over, and that's what we saw happen the last couple of days. So it played out perfectly how market makers would play that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that sometimes people forget the kind of volume that these people are trading with. So it's like they forget, it's like, yeah, for the majority of people, if you bought ETH at 2,100, you're not really going to be looking to sell it at 26, 2,700. It's like, if you buy 10 grand of it, it went up, 20%. It's like most people aren't going to be too excited about that kind of a move in crypto and be ready to take profits. But when you're an institution or, these market makers and you're able to buy millions and millions of dollars of Ethereum at 2,100, you have no problem dumping it on people's heads at 27, making a couple quick $1 million, cause fear again, get it to do exactly what it's doing right now, just kind of range sideways. And it's like whenever you're trading with that kind of volume, you don't need big moves to make an absolute killing, so it's like these market makers are going to take advantage of these like little 10% pullbacks that they can get everyone to start FOMOing back in and then exit, take their profits and then wait for it to happen again.
That's a great point. Yeah, their mindset's completely different than yours. So you have to understand what they're trying to accomplish compared to what a retail trader's trying to accomplish. So these market makers, they operate with relatively, for the sake of argument, unlimited liquidity, and they'll literally get stables and they'll get liquidity from exchanges as well to be able to do what they do. So yeah, they're just playing the mean reversion. That's what market makers do. They essentially play mean reversions to be able to make money when you get those deviations from the moving average. They'll sell whenever they're one or two standard deviations too high. They'll sell to you at the top there, wait for the mean reversion, and then if you get those deviations to the downside, which we had a massive one on Sunday, they buy they try to accumulate right at the very bottom, and then they just GT you on the way back up. And it's meaningful because it's millions of dollars. So like you said, that's a great point. So, okay. So what does that mean for us? So what do we do now? So we didn't have the V recovery we would have hoped for if we were going to get right back into the range and continue to pump. So now we have to entertain what's going to, from a structure perspective, from a TA perspective, what actually will most likely happen, even if it's not the scenario that we want. And that's that ETH is going to continue to basically roll over and create a new range, hopefully within the range that we had from the August 5th nuke, which we're going to go over. We'll range, and then once we get to range lows, that's when we're going to want to start to reaccumulate our positions, which we'll talk about, and we'll give those entries inside of the private crypto plays inside of the Taylor's code. But we want to find out, we want to see when we get to range lows, when it's time to start reaccumulating, and then what the timeline is going to look like for whenever we actually start to break out again. Did you see the tweets that Eric Trump is putting out?
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw last week he tweeted, seems like a great time to buy Ethereum, which if your dad's holding $500 million of Ethereum, probably pretty motivated to put that tweet out. I saw it had millions of views within the first hour. So people are paying attention for sure to what he's saying. And then, I think was it yesterday that he tweeted saying now's a good time to buy Bitcoin. And so, like you said, someone's off sides. And then, I saw the other picture that you posted saying that Trump's rolling out 3 different ETFs for Bitcoin of his own. Within, I think pretty soon he's trying to get everything through. Mm-hmm. So I think everything's bullish in general. Bitcoin, it's definitely been outperforming Ethereum for years, but I think at some point, especially with how much conviction Trump has shown that he has in Ethereum, I think if Bitcoin does start ripping hard after these ETFs all get pushed through, I think this time it is going to drag up Ethereum with it, just because it's had a ton of support from him, even prior to inauguration. So I think it'll be good news for both majors.
And like you said, offsides. So some things offsides. Either the crypto market is offsides or Eric Trump doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And if we're going to look at this from a probability perspective, what makes more sense? Is it that Eric Trump is just foolish and he doesn't know what he's doing and he's just making massive mistakes by tweeting about this stuff? Or is crypto lagging and there was some type of manipulation that took place so that large entities can continue to accumulate? I would venture to say probably the latter, right? Because the Trumps aren't stupid. Regardless of what you think of the family themselves, we're talking about just strictly from a market perspective. They're not stupid people. These are business people. And so he's not going to put out a tweet about Ethereum. It was a dumb tweet. Somebody's going to tell him, oh, don't do that again. Never do that. That wasn't a good idea, etc. Somebody would have told him to stop. But then he put out the Bitcoin tweet as well, which means he's doubling down on what he's trying to say for the market. He doubled down. And then, boom, you see the Trump ETF get launched. Or not launched, but they're gonna try to get it approved. They put that out today. He tweeted that yesterday. So clearly he's trying to foreshadow things that are gonna be happening in the market. Here's the one last thing I'll mention too, and then we'll jump into the charts. Trump's ego is so big that he's also not going to allow a bear market. He's not going to allow equities to draw down too far if they start to draw down, which they've held up very well. He's not going to allow crypto to just die under his administration. The whole fucking point of him making this crypto czar, crypto regulation, launching his own meme coins, all this bullshit, his ego is way too big for him to just let this market fucking die. So if they have to make moves themselves from an administration side of things, whether that's to inject their own liquidity, being government money into the markets, or do something to stimulate growth, stimulate borrowing, so getting interest rates to get lowered by the Fed, they're going to do that. Like, I'm under the impression that they'll do that. So that's why we're still bullish for this year.
Yeah, Trump was saying no green day or no red days before he came into office. He's only had it's been 2 weeks now that he's actually been in office. So, people were all stressed out that he didn't mention crypto during his inauguration speech. But it's like then within the first 3 days, he's meeting with the with Bukele from El Salvador, who, only one of the biggest faces of Bitcoin in the world, aside from maybe Michael Saylor. Immediately after the phone call announces that there is going to be a federal Bitcoin reserve. He's launched the meme coins for him and Melania was that prior to inauguration or was that right after?
Yeah, so he launched Trump Coin Friday night, and then Melania was on Sunday morning.
And then the inauguration was that Monday?
Yep.
Yeah. So, people are stressing out over the inauguration speech, but it's like, he's done so many things to show that he's going to keep crypto as a priority. And it's like with how many things there are to handle right now in the country. I mean, the fact that he's making crypto a priority should speak volumes because he's got a million fucking things that need to be taken care of. But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that Bitcoin held the range, I know that was a big conviction point for you for this, where we're at and what happened on Sunday. The fact that Bitcoin held the range, I think is super promising to show that the cycle's not over. And I think, yeah, we're probably going to, I'm sure, look at the Ethereum chart and you guys are going to see Ethereum's been in a range. We keep saying this, but Ethereum's been in a range now for 4 years. It's like Bitcoin already broke out almost 2 times higher than its previous all-time highs from last cycle. Bitcoin or Ethereum still hasn't even come within like 15 or 20%. No, I'm trying to think. Yeah, the highest it's gotten this cycle so far is 4,000. Previous cycle all-time high, I think, was 4,900.
4,500.
So it's like, I think it went to 4,850.
Really?
Almost 40. Yeah, I think it went almost to 4,900 last cycle in November of 2021. I'm almost positive.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, 4,900. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, we haven't even gotten within 20% of previous all-time highs. So yeah, the fact that the president of the United States buying $500 million of, not just Ethereum, but, wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum network, a lot of other projects I saw he's been getting into. I just saw he got a new one. He started investing into a new one this morning. I saw. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not know. Which one was it?
I think it was called Ondo.
Armando. I've never heard of that before, but yeah.
Let me see. Because Bitcoin actually tweeted out about it this morning.
Got you.
Yes, it says Trump's World Liberty Financial just spent. Oh, they only spent 470 grand on it.
Okay, light.
Let's spent $470,000 USDC to acquire 342,000 Ondo. I don't know what the hell that is.
Don't go aping that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be going to buy Ondo now.
This isn't a shill.
Yeah. We're just seeing what they're buying.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that he's got that much conviction in Ethereum, I mean, if you don't think Ethereum's going to at least go into price discovery this cycle, it's like it fucking has to at some point. And this is the time of the year to do it. So
exactly. All right, so let's give you guys some context and some of the things that me and Logan were looking at off stream. It was earlier this week. We're trying to find some confluence on Ethereum, some fractals that have played out before that we could see play out again here. So let me go ahead and do a little Mr. Producer. Hey, Naeem, did you see what I meant about the thumbnail, Naeem? Let's see. All right, do that. And then let me do a little... Oh, nope. Okay, we'll do screen 1. Boomstick. Go like this. Come back to Zoomski. Do one of these. And then we'll do one of these. All right, beautiful. All right, you see this, Harry?
It's pulling up. It says, I don't see it quite yet. There we go. Yep, I see it.
Got it? Beauty. Okay. So here's what Logan was just talking about with the 4-year ranges on Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the way that we're choosing to look at this is we've actually been in a massive reaccumulation range on Bitcoin for the past 4 years that just finally broke out. So when you come out of an accumulation range this large and for that long, you're going to get massive upside. You're going to get an explosive move to the upside, which we've only started the first leg up higher. So this was the previous range, this is the current range. So if I put on the fibs, because I should have the fibs for this. Where are you at? These ones. Okay. So on a higher time frame, you look at Bitcoin from the previous cycle until now. So here was January 21. So yeah, this is the double top from last cycle. Okay. So we get this big run up on Bitcoin in the springtime. Then we get the second run up here in Q3 and beginning of Q4. We come back down. We get this bear market for 1 year in 2022. Then we start the bull run again here in 2023. We get up and then we're up and then we're up. Okay, cool. So what's the range here? So if you put it in log mode, because this asset is getting adopted on a logarithmic scale, it's an exponential growth asset. So we want to look at this in log mode. We put the fibs on here. We draw this range. Here's the range high. Here's the range low. And you see how there's interaction with the range, mid-range, top of the range, mid-range interaction. Here's the bottom of the range, mid-range. You get this little breakout. You come up. You get the interaction with the top of the range. And then we start to do this was this 8-month range from last year. So we right underneath the range high. We kept rejecting, right, at the 1. Finally, you see where this green candle is right here? The first green candle to shoot through this range high, what happens? You get an explosive breakout. So that's confirmation that Bitcoin was respecting the range that we just drew, okay? So let's do this. So this range is valid. Well, if you look at this fib then, what's the fib here on Bitcoin? The 1.618 is over at 173,000, okay? So to get you guys all bulled up a little bit after this weekend, I would expect that to be the minimum that we go on Bitcoin this cycle. Okay. Now, whether or not we go higher will be dependent on how long this cycle is dragged out by the adoption of a Bitcoin reserve by the US, et cetera. Those types of things would cause the cycle to be extended because now you have institutional buyers that are on a government scale where they have effectively unlimited liquidity and they could just push this as high as they want it to go. So that's just a catalyst that we're not going to assume is going to happen. But 1.618 is at this 173,000. Okay. So we finally break out of this range right here. Here's this first leg up. Then we're starting to reaccumulate again. I would expect one more leg up about here to this like 130, 135,000 where we had fib confluence before we were looking at. I would expect another range here and then up here. This would be our last leg before we end up coming back down. Okay. That's the expectation on a higher time frame on Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. Okay. So Bitcoin, this is not broken down. We're good. We're fine. Anything you want to add to that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think with Bitcoin too, it's like I know Tate actually, he had tweeted about it and I've thought about it a few times. I was just thinking about it now, looking at this chart, that I think we're definitely going to get to a point with Bitcoin where, I mean, if you look at over the past 10 years, how it's performed overall as an asset, if you would have just continued to add Bitcoin to your portfolio every single week for the past 10 years, you would have outperformed any asset that you could have ever possibly invested into pretty much. I mean, obviously there's exceptions, but for something that you could continuously put a significant amount of money into
right
over the past 10 years, obviously there's been bear markets and bull markets, et cetera, but averaged out across the past 10 years, it's outperformed any stock that you could have invested in, with the exception of maybe a couple, that were just kind of one-offs that would never have been able to predict.
Right.
But I think that Bitcoin is definitely going to get to the point where the price is just going to continue to go up. I mean, with it having a limited supply, there's only so many Bitcoin. It's going to get to the point where people just buy Bitcoin and they're just going to hold it forever because eventually you're not going to be able to get it anymore.
Correct.
So it's like, people have price targets, and I mean, I think it's definitely smart to have price targets for this cycle. I mean, I think 170,000 before the end of 2025 is definitely doable. But it's going to get to a point where it's just going to keep going up and up and up. And then Bitcoin's going to hit $1 million per Bitcoin. And then it's just people aren't going to sell anymore because there's no sense in holding your money in anything else. It's like, why would people want to hold fiat currency and have US dollars whenever you can pretty much buy anything you want to with crypto once it's further adopted in the US, and you can hold it in an appreciating asset that has a limited supply that's deflationary instead of inflationary? Why would you want to hold fiat over this? So it's like, that's what we're going to get to, in my opinion, eventually, is people are just going to continue to buy Bitcoin and then just never sell it. And then the price will go to $1 million and the game will be over.
Correct.
So I don't think that'll happen this cycle. So I do think it's good to have price targets. But yeah, I mean, I think that you can't really even have moon boy targets on Bitcoin because it's eventually it's going to go to $1 million or higher. It's inevitable, I think, at this point.
I agree, 1000%. It's going to become gold, which is exactly what happened with gold. They were accumulating gold back in the early 1900s. What happens? It just perma goes up over. It just perma goes up. They just always were buying it. It's a store of value. So what's going to happen with Bitcoin is it's going to replace gold as a store of value, and it's going to become a game theory because once the U.S. announces that they're going to do the strategic Bitcoin reserve and they're going to allocate X amount of dollars to get X amount of Bitcoin supply, it's then going to become a race for every single other nation on the planet to then implement the same thing and then accumulate their Bitcoin. And so what you get is this game theory where everybody starts to think, well, I need to front run this country because if I don't front run that country, then I'm going to end up buying Bitcoin at this price. And then it just continues to go down the line. So then what happens is then you get this stampede all of a sudden from all these nations who start saying, fuck, we got to go buy the Bitcoin now. And then it just becomes more parabolic from there. So when that happens, it is going to get outrageous. It's going to get insane. And that's why we're playing these beta plays, these altcoins, is because you want to accumulate as much capital as humanly possible. So where you can buy a significant portion of the Bitcoin supply so that when that does happen, you're going to benefit from that. But I agree. I think this is probably the last cycle where it's going to be super meaningful and you're very capable of outperforming Bitcoin to a high degree. But after this is going to become, you're definitely going to want to allocate a good amount of capital to Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, sorry, no one can say for certain, but I feel like the bear markets aren't going to be like they were before in the future too. Because, I mean, the bear markets have been fully dependent on the performance of majors in the past. It's like, the only reason we have a bear market is because Bitcoin decides to bleed for a year and a half or 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if people aren't paying attention to what's happening cyclically and, crypto is just getting further and further adopted by not just more individuals, but by more institutions, by more countries entirely, then, there's going to be a constant pursuit to acquire as much of it as possible. And I mean, I think it's going to be like anything. It's going to be not a lot at first, but then all at once. The United States, once they officially, start accumulating for the Bitcoin reserve, I think the number that they had announced was roughly $6 billion that they were going to allocate to acquiring Bitcoin, which is obviously pretty massive. Mm-hmm. So the United States doing it's a huge step. And then, I mean, once some more countries I know that, I think Czechoslovakia announced it there, or who was it?
Yeah, it was a Northern European country. It's
where Jackass is from.
yeah. I think it is Czech. I think it is. Is it Czechoslovakia or is it Czech Republic?
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I think Czech Republic, actually.
Yeah, I think it's Czech Republic.
Either way, though, I think it was the first country in the Western Hemisphere to adopt crypto like that. Mm-hmm. So I mean, now it's going to be a domino effect, and I mean, the bull markets or the bear markets aren't going to happen if that continues to just drag out the upward spiral of Bitcoin.
Yep.
And then I mean, once Bitcoin is tapped out, and not tapped out, but people just aren't selling it anymore. Mm-hmm. They're going to be forced to roll down the risk curve, and where's the first place they're going to go? Mm-hmm. They're going to go to Ethereum.
Exactly. This is why people are building on the Ethereum network. So let's just look at this real quick and then we'll go to Ethereum. So Bitcoin, just to show you guys, this is really giving us no information anymore. So Bitcoin didn't break down from the range, which is clear that they're not ending the cycle. They protected this range whenever they wicked this down on Sunday. It did not even break out of this range, okay? So I put on some POC, some points of control, just to show on the chart here. Bitcoin hovering in between these 2 points of control, and even between the monthly open and the yearly open, I would argue that it's actually anything within this monthly open and this yearly open means nothing. There's no signal here. They're just ping-ponging it back and forth until they decide a direction with the market. And this is why you haven't seen any direction or any volatility in the altcoins really, outside of being able to short them on some assets, is because nobody knows what the hell's going on. Everybody's cautious as to what the direction is going to be in the market, so they're not reallocating their capital yet. So there's zero signal here. Until you see Bitcoin get above this POC, so this point of control right here, we're not going anywhere. If you see Bitcoin and when you see Bitcoin reclaim and punch through this POC right up here, so about 104.5, 105,000. Once you get back up there, then we're resuming. We should start taking that next leg higher. Same thing to the downside. If we're still within these two POCs right here, I don't see any reason for us to come down below them again. So this one, of course, is confluent with the 2025 yearly open. We should hold this $93,000 mark as well. So there's no signal in Bitcoin. It's not giving us a direction right now. So that's why the market's stagnant. So we'll wait to see what happens on Bitcoin. So now let's take a look at our precious Ethereum and what was going on over here, right? So
fucking turd.
Just as a reminder, though, so you guys know. So the same way we had that 4-year reaccumulation range built out on Bitcoin, same thing on Ethereum. So double top from last cycle. So here's May. Here's the November and December top. Okay. You get this massive reaccumulation over this past 4 years, just like Bitcoin. And then we continue to reject off of the top of the range this cycle. So this is what you see. So you got this one deviation over here, this blow off top. And then you continue to get this interaction with the top of our range over here. So we keep nuking off of that 4K mark. So what we're hoping is we hold, just like this August 5th nuke right here, and this nuke we got on Sunday. The hope is that, obviously, we hold this mid-range at 2,000. If we come any lower than that, then, yeah, we can really fucking start trickling down into, like, 1,1800, which would not be fun. But, yeah, that hurt. But ideally, we hold this range, range within the range on this higher time frame. Okay, anyways, the first fib on this, once we finally get this breakout from 4K, which will happen eventually this cycle, first target's $9,000 Ethereum. So that's where I expect us to go at the very least this cycle. That would be an embarrassment if we only got 9K ETH, but at the very least we'll hit that. So on the lower time frame, which is what matters to us, is what are we seeing on ETH and what's it confluent with, so we can get an idea what price action is going to look like here short term. So we were looking at a couple of different things. The last nuke that we had on Ethereum was this August 5th nuke whenever Japan liquidated themselves. We get this nuke down here, and you saw a similar thing happen and starting to play out on the lower time frames. As you get this nuke that we had on Sunday, and then you get this liquidation bounce that gets everybody it fakes out everybody bullish again. And then basically we start to trickle back down. And not ideally, but what typically would happen is we rotate back down and we build a new range down here. So let's see what happened last time we did that. It was the same thing. So we nuked on August 5th. We had the same type of liquidation nuke here. We bounce back up and get fake bullish again. And it seems like we're recovering. But then what ends up happening is we start to reject twice at the same level. And then you come all the way back down and you basically partially or sometimes fully refill this wick over here. And then you create this new range. And then we got the next leg higher. Okay. Now, unfortunately, that's going to take some time for that to play out. But on the bright side, it gives you more time to accumulate your assets if you're trying to accumulate Ethereum beta. So you see, you get this fake bullish move back up, and then you come all the way back down and you try to fill this wick. Okay. So that's what it looks like is going to play out over here, right? So on the shorter time frame, we're doing something like this, right? Or we might even sneak back up to like 2,900. Okay. And then start to do this thing, right? And then refill this wick before we start moving back up, right? So what me and Logan are doing is we're effectively waiting for this to play out and come back down and refill this wick to a degree. I mean, I would say probably at least 2,300 we get. Refill some of this wick before we start actually moving back up, okay? So I would be patient to see how this plays out, because this is essentially what we had play out over here, right? What do you think, Harry?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some people that agree with that thesis too, of where we're probably going to go here over the next few weeks. So yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be try again in March. But yeah, I mean, I think like we were talking about, this level of like 2,800 on Ethereum has been pretty significant. Every time it's interacted with this level, it's either, whenever it's come down to the 2,800 level, it tends to snap below it, which is exactly what it did on Sunday. I was seeing, the last time that we had gotten down to that level was back on the August 5th dump. And I saw, immediately after we crossed that 2,750, 2,800 level, the floor just kind of gave out and it immediately snapped down to 2,100. I didn't think it was possible for that to happen again, on Sunday like it did. I mean, we were watching it live and it went from 2,800 ETH to 2,150 in the matter of like 20 minutes.
Right.
So it's like super scammy. It's just like we were talking about on Monday, just a cascade effect of people getting liquidated out of their long and short positions. But yeah, this 2,700, 2,800 level has been very significant because on August 5th, we snapped below it. Then we just ranged for, 2 months until around the time of the election. And then after Trump won the election and we crossed back up through that 2,800 threshold, we immediately snapped back up, not instantly, but within a few weeks back up to above 4,000. And then if you scroll back on the chart to like February, March-ish time of this year.
This or 2024?
Yeah, right there on the left-hand side there. So yeah, you can see this same level, 27, 2,800. We had rejected off of it at the beginning of last year, bounced off of it.
Yeah.
So whenever we've come up to that level from being down below, it's either it's going to snap down hard or it's going to pump back up through definitively and really break out of this range. So it got rejected in January, continued to range underneath that 2,800 level for about a month and a half. And then once this, the first part of the bull run last year in March started, once we crossed back through that 2,800 level, we sent almost immediately back up to 4,100,
right,
where we've continued to bang our head time and time again. So I think you're probably right with what you're saying is going to happen here over the next couple weeks. Since we did definitively snap hard below 2,800, we're probably going to get stuck in this range for at least a couple weeks. I think we'll probably try and refill some of that wick low down to like 2,400. And then, by third week of February, first week of March, as soon as we get definitively back above, like into range lows from before, I'd say like 3,100 ETH, we're probably going to teleport back above 4,000.
I agree. And look at this. This is interesting, right? Doesn't that look similar? So you got this big nuke right here, January 3rd, and you get this massive wick down. Now, it doesn't look like it's the same percentage move it took last time. Yeah, not even close. But because here's the start of the cascade. But you got this big red candle with this massive wick to the downside. You kind of recovered a little bit, which is what we did here. Kind of recover a little bit. You get this fake bull trap. You get this bull trap to the upside before you inevitably come back down and completely refill this entire move. They've refilled the entire move, retrace it before eventually up only again, right? So we probably get something like that where if we don't come down first, we might get this, right, bull trap back up here, kind of refill some of this stuff up to, it's a little bit too high, but more like 3,100, 3,200 I could see before retracing the entire move, coming back down to refill that wick, and then we go again, right?
And I wonder if, I mean, it's almost identical.
Yeah.
The only thing that's, I wonder is last year at that time, I think that was this was in January of last year. I'm wondering if there was scam news that came out at that point too. Because that's the thing. It's like this move was caused by news that didn't even come to fruition. Like it ended up just being bullshit. But,
Classic.
It's like from this point forward, I mean, the traders are going to be the ones that determine where we go from here because, I mean, the move already happened.
Right.
It's like the news was bullshit, but the move happened and people, I think, know how these moves tend to play out. So, like you said, there's going to be a lot of hesitancy to just start aping money back in, especially with Ethereum being at this super weird level of like 27, 2800. It's kind of no man's land.
Right.
And, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to, in the next week, snap back into the range and then just start teleporting to 4,000, or we're going to, bounce up to the bottom of the previous range around 3,000, 3,100, probably get rejected and then refill some of that wick to the downside, probably come back down to like 24, 2,500, have the fucking generational buying opportunity.
Yep.
And then finally, I pray to God, go into price discovery on ETH.
It's going to be sick because as much as it sucks right now, that reset on altcoins, the repricing on Ethereum is going to be so fucking aggressive that it's going to catch people off guard, and those who reaccumulated at the lows are going to see ridiculous gains up to the upside because, I mean, after the August nuke, you and me were accumulating Pepe, Brett, Andy, Wolf at literally their pico lows. That's where they bottomed out at, was between August and September. Accumulating big bags, and then they run up 10, 15x from the lows, Andy and Wolf, right? And then Pepe and Brett did what they did. So completely print on these bags, and that was Ethereum just bumping its head off of 4,000. Now you get the same exact entries with Ethereum at the price it is right now, but the price of Bitcoin is double what the price of Bitcoin was in August whenever Ethereum was at these levels. So you're telling me that Ethereum is worth 50% less now compared to Bitcoin than what it was last August? No. So what there's going to be is there's going to be a huge mean reversion that whenever Ethereum does finally get that bid again and starts to snap back to where it's supposed to be at, you get that mean reversion. It's going to be even more aggressive, the move to the upside. And then eventually, whenever you get into price discovery, of course, all the Boys Club memes are going to be in price discovery as well because their values attached to the value of Ethereum. So if Ethereum's hitting new all-time highs, then all those assets will hit new all-time highs as well. So now it just becomes, are you timing the reaccumulation correctly? That's the hard part. Knowing when to start reaccumulating without destroying your capital so you get as many tokens for your money as humanly possible for the upside move. So
yeah, I mean, that's a great point too. It's like Bitcoin is held up, it's printed and held up so much better. And yeah, the price is so much higher than it was the last time Ethereum was at these prices. I think whenever Ethereum was down like this before, I mean, Bitcoin was at like what, 50,000 roughly?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's like now we're holding Bitcoin around 100,000 with ETH at the same price as it was before. I mean, that's a great point. And also too, it's like for anyone that's been watching the stream for a while, you should probably be thinking about the headspace that you were in a couple months ago whenever Brett was at 22, 23 cents. Pepe was at 0.2, point was zero, however many zeros, 2.8. It was like $13 billion market cap. Andy was up at almost 400 million market cap. Landwolf was well over 200 million market cap. And if you guys think back to a month ago, whenever we were topping out, I guarantee you, I mean, because I was in the same boat, you guys were wishing that you would have accumulated more whenever you had the chance to back in like August, September. And if anything, I think the fact that Bitcoin's held shows you the cycle's not over. That should be about all the conviction you need, and that ETH hasn't gone into price discovery yet. That's all the conviction you need to know the cycle's not over. You're literally getting the same buying opportunities that you missed out on before that you were pissed at yourself about not taking advantage of. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that I'm not personally, I know you mentioned it already, but personally, I'm not accumulating yet. I am waiting for the kind of rollover here on ETH over the next couple weeks. But for the way that altcoins already got wrecked, I mean, a lot of these coins are down 80, 85% from the highs. Personally, I don't think, and I think you agree, that they can't really come a whole lot lower from where they're at right now. So personally, I don't think you're going to, if you're buying altcoins, I don't think you're going to get burnt too much. Even if you are accumulating through this week and over the next couple weeks, I personally don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but I'm just kind of waiting to see, here the next couple weeks if we roll over and then try and get the absolute punt of the century.
Punt.
I might punt again.
Look at listen, I'm not opposed to a bit of a punt. I got a good leg on me. Played soccer my whole life. So This is another situation, similar move, right? So this is different than the first one, the first example. So this was another big nuke that we had on Ethereum back in April of 24. So this was last year before we had this last run up on altcoins in the end of May and into June. So this is whenever Pepe, Brett, Andy, Wolf were pumping to the fucking, they were going to Valhalla in this range right here last year of 24. Right before that, right before we got that massive pump on the boys club memes and everybody printed, look at what happened, right? So we had this huge sell-off on Ethereum back in April, right? So Ethereum comes up, come back down, boom, we get this big nuke, right? 26% move. So big move. This one was 38%, much larger, more aggressive, but still comparable in the sense that it was a fat drawdown in a very quick time frame. Very quick, couple days. So we get this big move to the downside and see what happens. Same thing. We get this bounce back up and you kind of fake move to the upside before you get another wick down here to fill this wick, to at least partially fill it, you see? So I drew that out. The same scenario again here. You get this move up here, jaw all the way down to the wick. You get this fake bounce and you kind of curl up a little bit. And it looks like you might be seeing it here now, similar to this candle right here. Then we probably start to come down on Ethereum, right? Around 2,300, at least partially fill this wick before we start to move up again, right? So that's what we're looking for right now. We're looking for this to play out, hopefully faster, right? Sooner rather than later. You get this wick to fill. Now we say, okay, does it look like it's bottoming? Is it starting to curl up a little bit? Is it starting to create a range? We're not nuking down to 1,800. Great. Shove. Okay. But again, that's the skill of it, is understanding if it actually is bottoming or not, as opposed to just blindly aping in. So that's what I'm assuming is going to happen. I'm not in the camp that we hit $1,800 on Ethereum, because if we get this wick to fill and we can cover most of that and we can start to curl back up a little bit, especially with the bullish catalyst that we have with this administration, it's only going to take one bit of news to start sending up Bitcoin. And as soon as Bitcoin takes its next leg higher, as much as we want to respect levels, as much as we want to say, oh, market structure was broken, etc., all other altcoins are going to pump. If Bitcoin pumps, everything else pumps. That is the number one correlation. That's the number one catalyst you want to pay attention to. If Bitcoin pumps, everything else pumps. So market structure gets thrown out the window. So hopefully Ethereum is just, it survives long enough up in here by the time that Bitcoin takes its next leg higher, and then we get saved by that move on Bitcoin. So that's what I'm expecting. We see a lot of examples of Ethereum moving this way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's, if we go below 2,100, it's kind of like, you can't say out around your dogs. You got to spell it out. You got to say O-U-T. It's like, we got to spell over. Can't say it.
Yeah.
If we go below 2,100, it might be O-V-E-R.
We're cooked. We may be cooked.
But yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason for that to happen, especially not at the time that we are cyclically. I mean, this is the timeline that we've been preaching since the beginning, is, February through May of the year following Bitcoin halving. So this is kind of the timeline we've been waiting for. Like we said last stream, this pullback has made the multiples targets for the coins that we're invested in so much more possible.
Yes.
Pepe now to do a 10x, like we mentioned last stream, has to go to 40 billion, compared to trying to pull a 10x from the highs. It would have had to go to like 120, 130 billion. So I'd rather be aping into something needing 40 bill out of Pepe, which is extremely doable. I mean, SHIB is a complete piece of shit, and it pulled way more than that last cycle. So yeah, I mean, the fact too that like we kind of had a mini alt season a couple times last year. Like the November one was kind of a scam because we had Trump getting elected, and it just forced everything to pump around the time of November 5th, whenever he won the election. And then we did kind of have a mini alt season in March-ish last year, but there was never a period of time where like certain, meme coins were really breaking out and standing out as clear winners. Like Dogecoin caught some momentum again, pumped back up to like 65 billion market cap or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like last cycle, you had altcoins that were going absolutely ape shit. I mean, Dogecoin was, pulled a like 10,000x in a couple weeks. SHIB was pumping up to like 60, 70 billion. So I feel like the fact we haven't seen any of that either, there hasn't been any super parabolic moves. There's been coins that have pumped hard, but nothing's gone up to like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 billion like
Exactly.
before. So that along with everything else we've mentioned, I don't think it's really happened yet. And I definitely think it's coming. I can't see any reason for us to break below 2100. That'd be fucking ignorant.
Yeah. So this is the range that had played out from August nuke. So this move from all the way down here, boom. So same thing. Once again, another example. You get this massive nuke. Everybody thought it was over for Ethereum. All the boys club were decimated, destroyed, etc. You get this fake move back to the upside where you reject on the range high and then see what happens. We come all the way back down again. Fill this wick. Range back up. Bang. Then we shoot off. Okay. So there's two scenarios I could see playing out here too. So if we're respecting this range again and we just extend this range back out over here, because you see we're interacting with the top of this range, we either come back down to the mid range or we come all the way back down to the bottom of the range and basically completely fill this wick, which is possible, at $2,100. So I would expect the most we come down is about 2,100 on ETH. What was the one other thing I was going to say? You were saying something about, what was I going to say?
About the altcoins, none of them going parabolic yet.
Oh, great. Yes, exactly. Bitcoin dominance is still not nuked. That's how you know we haven't had alt season yet. So we've had stints of altcoin outperformance. But if we go to our, I don't know why it's giving me this. Like, look at how my layout's named Stunna.
Fucking Bitcoin dominance, dude. You could have shorted this shit fucking 17 years ago and just printed.
This is ETH BTC. Hold on, let me pull up dominance. I have dominance here. Where is it at?
We should probably look at have you looked at the others dominance chart in a while?
No, but we can look at it for sure.
Take a peek.
This real quick, just for Bitcoin dominance, so you guys understand. This is the alt season indicator. Until you see this thing nuke, which it's got a fucking blow off top, hilarious.
I haven't looked at this in a while.
Yeah. So this has been up only for the past 4 years as well, since the bear market, right? So Bitcoin dominance, that means that the percentage of the entire crypto space market cap, what percentage is the market cap of Bitcoin? So how much of the Bitcoin market cap dominates the entire crypto space market cap? As this goes up, that means Bitcoin's growing market share against all the other altcoins. When this nukes, that's alt season. That's when you see altcoins go parabolic. That's when you see people print 10, 15, 20, 30, 40x multiples in the matter of weeks. That's alt season. We still haven't had that. So until I see this thing fucking puke, I know the cycle's not over. Because that rotation from Bitcoin, people taking profits, people thinking that Bitcoin has no more meaningful upside for them, until we see that rotation of capital into altcoins, cycle's not over. Once we see this thing start to nuke and it comes back down here, all right, yeah, you better fucking start looking for the door, player, because that means altcoins are going parabolic. Therefore, this chart goes down because altcoins are gaining more market share against Bitcoin. That means altcoins are pumping hard. But you said which one?
And do you think even with the sentiment changing around Bitcoin and the reason people are investing into it, do you think we're still going to get the puke on this chart like before?
The degree to which it pukes, we'll see, but it'll puke because those people the institutional money that is in Bitcoin. So two things. One, institutions are degenerate as well. So they're going to go down further down the risk curve regardless. They're going to do it. They do it every time. So they will go down the risk curve once they feel that the gains on Bitcoin are no longer meaningful to them. So once they think Bitcoin's topped, they'll rotate. Second thing is, even people who are invested in the ETFs and they can only accumulate Bitcoin and Ethereum because they're doing it through ETFs, the wealth effect that's going to be caused by Bitcoin pumping and those ETFs continue to put money into Bitcoin and Ethereum, the other people who hold Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to rotate their capital out of those assets and into altcoins, because it's the wealth effect that really matters. You know, the people themselves putting more liquidity into Bitcoin and Ethereum might not directly invest into altcoins, but they're going to make the people who already hold Bitcoin and Ethereum richer, and they'll rotate. It's because they'll have that extra capital.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I think too, it's less people rolling money down the risk curve out of Bitcoin, maybe than we've seen before, just because of the sentiment kind of changing around Bitcoin. People are kind of holding it to hold forever,
Mm-hmm.
more or less, definitely more than last cycle. So maybe not as much capital rolling down the risk curve, but a lot more money just coming into the market in general to flood into those other coins. Like you said, the wealth effect just coming to the crypto market in general.
Mm-hmm.
The other chart was others dominance.
Got you. So I have that down here. Others total market cap excluding top 10. Others total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. Excluding Bitcoin. So here's others dominance.
Yeah. So I think that this one's a super good indicator. I know we don't talk about this one too much on stream,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, if you look at the beginning of 2024, pumped right around the time of the election when Ethereum and these other coins started ripping.
Yep. Perfect. Right on it. November 5th was the election, right?
Yeah.
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 There it is.
Yeah. Pumped. And then you look back at like all through the beginning of 2024 when we had the mini alt season, this chart was pumping. So yeah, I mean, I think that it doesn't look to me. I mean, obviously this chart had a scam wick too, kind of blow off bottom.
Yeah. Fucking not the blow off we want.
Yeah, the blow off bottom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this chart doesn't look bottom to me right now. I think
Yeah, probably curls back down into here, refills some of this wick. Same thing we're talking about with ETH.
yeah. So I mean, I think we're probably still gonna get some bleed on this. I think Bitcoin is probably gonna just because the sentiment around ETH right now is just so shit because it's just been performing terrible and people are getting impatient. So I think that Bitcoin is probably going to recover quicker and better than Ethereum. So this chart's probably going to continue to come down. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is definitely a good chart for you guys to keep an eye on. Once this thing starts to bottom out and looks like it's about to start reversing, I mean, it's predicted every alt season we've had so far. So I think this is definitely one we should keep more of an eye on going forward.
Absolutely. Look at it. It's just like Bitcoin and Ethereum because this chart is mostly similar to the Ethereum chart because this is just total market cap of crypto, excluding Bitcoin. So the dominance of altcoins. And Ethereum takes up a lot of this altcoin market cap. So it looks similar to the ETH chart. And it's, again, the same thing. 4-year reaccumulation range rejects perfectly right at the top that we have here, right? Perfect rejection. Bottoming out right down here. This was FTX. This was refilling that wick on FTX. Boom. You get up here. You retest this bid range. You pump up to the top of the range. And you reject hard. Okay. When this breaks out as well, like you said, alt season indicator. Because for this to break out and shoot up here, that means altcoins are getting market share. So altcoins are pumping, right? Their market caps are going up. And the next target on this one would be, geez, what a fucking awful. Look like a fucking hammer. 3.8 trillion. $3.8 trillion market cap. So when this breaks out, another point of confluence, altcoins are going to pump hard as fuck. And as long as you're in the correct altcoins, your coins are going to outperform the rest of the altcoins, which would be the winners, the Boys Club, Pepe, which is the largest meme coin this cycle, best meme coin this cycle, attached to Brett, attached to Andy, attached to Wolf. So the points of confluence are here. We haven't broken out of these ranges yet. Once these breakouts happen eventually, which they will, these fibs are going to get hit and coins are going to go parabolic. It's just the patience to be able to wait through the massive P&L swings. That's the difficult part. People think that they can just show up to crypto and become rich, and they see all these other people becoming rich, and it's easy and it's lucky, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, anybody who's been here understands this shit ain't lucky. Yeah, you got to have a different type of fucking mindset to watch your portfolio go up and down hundreds of thousands of dollars in a day and not lose your mind. So P&L swings go in both directions. Everybody wants the parabolic move to the upside that gives them generational wealth, but they don't understand that with that action, there has to be an equal and opposite reaction. Therefore, you have to be able to handle the 70 or 80% drawback whenever those come too. It works both ways, player. This shit ain't free.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I think too, it's just important to have an abundance mindset when it comes to crypto too, because it's like people think I mean, you look back in like 2022, 2023 bear market, it's like these coin, the total market cap excluding Bitcoin pulled back from, over 1.5 trillion and pulled back to what? Yeah, 400 billion.
Right.
So it's like it pulled back total market cap, which is nuts. I mean, this is including Ethereum pulled back what over $1 trillion, well over $1 trillion. So it's like when you see over $1 trillion exit the asset class that you're invested in, the sentiment is terrible. People think it's over. You can't imagine what it would take to have over $1 trillion come back into your space. And then you look, a couple years later, we're back up at all-time highs for this market cap. And it's like there's so much money circulating in the United States. And I mean, crypto is not just in the US. I mean, it's all across the world. So there's so much money circulating. And when you look at the entire crypto asset class and you see that it's barely bigger than one blue chip stock company, it's like the entire crypto asset class is slightly bigger than Nvidia. So you see how much money is in the entire TradFi market. The entire crypto asset class is barely bigger than one company.
Yep.
So the amount of money that still has yet to come into this market is people can't even fathom it. I can't fathom it. So it's, never think that because you get a big pullback that it's over. There's so much money that's ready to come into this asset class as adoption continues to get bigger and bigger. And yeah, I mean, I think we're going to hopefully see this go no lower than 850, 900 billion. So, hopefully we can definitely stay above the mid range here on this, correction over the next couple weeks. And then, yeah, I mean, this should definitely be pushing up towards the fib, which if Bitcoin dominance maintains above 50% during this alt season, which may be able to hold on to that number, if we hit that first fib, entire crypto asset class is going to be $7 to $8 trillion. So that'd be all right.
Not bad, Harry. We just got to fucking patience. Patience is key. So outside that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the show for today. So let me do a little Mr. Producer real quick. All right, let's do stop screen share. And then watch, I Mr. Producer them hard this time. Screen capture, do this. Boom, boom.
You got an outro.
Yeah, I got a little. Oh no, they don't deserve an outro. Do they?
I spit fucking coffee all over my keyboard.
All right, gentlemen. Outside of that, like, comment, subscribe, show some love. We gave you juice. We're showing you guys how to make money. If you're not already inside the Taylor's Code, the link is in the description. You want to see when we're accumulating assets, when we're buying, when we're selling, how we're taking profits, when we're stabling up, how we're de-risking, how we're hedging against downside. Join the Taylor's Code and then join the private crypto plays inside of the classroom. Within a week or two, we're launching the newest portion of the Taylor's Code. So we're transitioning over, I'm going to say it live. You guys ready for this? To a Discord server, okay? So we've built out a private Discord server that has trading bots in there, 2 different types of trading bots, ways that we're going to be able to interact with each other while we're accumulating assets, while we're in the trenches actually trading some of the shit coins, some of the small caps that we're trading. We're going to streamline the way that we make money. Inside of the Discord as well, we're going to have a portion of fitness, mind, body, spirit that Logan's going to be heading that campus. And then we also have an e-commerce campus in there as well, so you guys can make money from building, setting up products, generating sales in the e-commerce campus through Bobby, the individual who does that portion. So if you're not already inside the Taylor's Code, click on the link, join, get set up ASAP. This is the time where you need to have income, when you need to have money coming in so that you can go ahead and inject more liquidity into the markets. If you don't have money to inject in the markets, you can't benefit from the large upside that we're going to see in the next couple of months. Always remember that. Investments is not income. You don't invest to live off of and use that money as an income. No, you build an income, you become rich, you have a large income stream, and then use that money to invest into these assets to build wealth. Understand the difference, okay? There's a difference between income and assets investing, okay? You don't live off of, you don't, sell your coins and start using that to live off and pay bills. No, that's not how you generate wealth. You build wealth and you use that wealth to generate an income, okay? All right, guys, we're getting out of here. Mr. Producer.